pregnancy isn't really an illness, is it? Do you think someone will come to help if you pretend to be sick like that?
My husband throws heartless words at me as I suffer from morning sickness, even though he has never experienced it himself. In the midst of my struggles to be understood, divine punishment befell my husband, who had consistently neglected me. My name is Megan. I met Taylor, my husband, at work and we got married. He is an office worker who continues to work without retiring. In the 3rd year of marriage, finally I became pregnant with our long-awaited first child. On the day I found out about the pregnancy, I promptly informed my husband. Taylor, we're going to be parents. Upon hearing this, my husband's eyes widened.
Wait, seriously? Me, a father?
I went to the hospital today, and I'm already in the 8th week of pregnancy.
Wow, seriously? I'm so happy. Thank you, Megan.
He hugged me tightly and promised,
I'll do my best.
A few days later, we also reported the news to my in-laws. My in-laws always tried not to put pressure on me, saying, children are a gift. I wanted to report to these kind people as soon as possible.
Thank you, Megan. To think I'll see my grandchild's face so soon. I'm really happy. Right, wife?
Yes, that's right. For Taylor to become a father, it feels like a dream. Thank you so much. Our in-laws shed tears of joy. My mother-in-law, who had given birth, was especially concerned about my body on a regular basis, asking me if my body was fine. A kind husband and wonderful in-laws. I'm sure we'll live happily ever after. That's what I thought. 2 weeks after the pregnancy was confirmed, suddenly, something strange started happening to my body. I feel nauseous. Could this be morning sickness? Whether asleep or awake, the queasy sensation persisted, and I was constantly attacked by nausea, even at work. Perhaps because of that, I couldn't eat properly and my health deteriorated rapidly. Although I had planned to work diligently until maternity leave, in this condition, it was impossible to continue. With that in mind, I decided to discuss it with my husband. Taylor, can I talk to you for a moment?
What's up?
Actually, due to morning sickness, my body is really struggling. I'm thinking of resigning from work before taking maternity leave.
Really? If that's what you've decided, it's fine, right?
Yeah. Thank you. Surprisingly, his quick approval left me somewhat taken aback. Perhaps he respected my feelings that much? Originally, my retirement after childbirth was already planned, so maybe he saw this as a slightly accelerated version. Since my parents' health was not good, and they lived far away, there were no plans for me to return home for childbirth. Although there were anxieties about the first childbirth, I believed that with my husband by my side, we could overcome anything. So I spent my days thinking that way. 1 month later, it took time for the handover, but I successfully resigned from my job. Now all that was left was to live a relaxed life until childbirth. However, my health didn't improve at all. At first, I tried to do as much housework as possible, but as my belly grew, even that became challenging. Taylor, sorry. Starting tomorrow, is it okay if we just have bread for breakfast? When I asked my husband this, he turned around with a surprised expression.
Huh? Why? I give you money for living expenses, right?
No, it's not about the household budget. It's just that morning sickness is really taking a toll on me. Waking up in the morning is really tough. I'll buy the bread, so you can have it as you like.
So you mean I have to prepare it myself?
Huh? You want to take your time in the morning, so I prepare it myself, eat, and go to work. Is that it? It's not like that at all.
I can't believe this. I'm working hard every day to provide for both of us. And now, you've become a housewife, thinking you don't have to handle the housework."
Saying that, my husband left the living room. Why? Why did he speak like that? I didn't choose to be in this situation willingly. I'm enduring these difficult days to raise our baby. Suppressing emotions with nowhere to go, I cried alone. I tried to convince myself that someday things would get better, even if it felt forced. Time passed, and I finally entered the 9th month of pregnancy. In the midst of swelling emotions, I desperately continued to manage the household chores. "Sorry, Taylor, can you take out the trash today?" One morning, I called out to my husband as he was leaving for work.
"Huh? Isn't taking out the trash something you always do yourself?"
"Yes, but today's trash is really heavy. My stomach has been aching since the morning, and it's tough today. Can you please help just for today?" At that moment, unbelievable words came out of my husband's mouth.
"Hey, Megan, you're a housewife, right? Who do you think you are?"
"Huh? What do you mean, who do you think you are?" What was he asking me? Without waiting for my answer, he continued.
"I've been thinking, pregnant women aren't really sick, right? So why are you acting like you're in such pain?"
"Pretending to be in pain? What are you talking about? I'm really struggling."
"So you think by acting like you're feeling unwell, someone will come to help you, huh? Megan, I never thought you'd be that cunning. I'm a bit shocked."
Wait a minute. It's really not like that. Certainly, I might not be sick, but my body is in pain, and my stomach is so heavy.
"Let me be clear. You're overly pampering yourself just because you're pregnant. Lately, the cooking and cleaning have been slacking off, and for a wife, you're getting pretty dangerous, aren't you? Asking your husband to take out the trash before work is outrageous."
Saying that, my husband left for work. I can feel that my surprise gradually turned into anger. "Who do you think you are? I'm raising our child in my stomach, you know. I'm not asking for sympathy, but couldn't there be a little consideration?" With this incident, I stopped relying on my husband. Even though there was a concern about something happening to our unborn child, I thought it was better than arguing with my husband and feeling uncomfortable. Afterwards, I managed the household chores to the extent that it was reasonable, and a month later I safely gave birth to our daughter. Our newborn daughter was truly adorable, enough to make the pain of childbirth disappear. Even though my husband didn't help at all during the pregnancy, he did show affection towards our daughter. But he truly only dotes. He never changes diapers, feeds milk, or soothes her when she cries.
There. Melissa is so cute. Ah, she smiled. You're just like me. You've got the most adorable eyes in the world." Huh? She feels like crying for some reason. Hey, Megan, let me pass her."
When our daughter is in a good mood, he holds her, dotes on her, and if she starts fussing, he hands her over to me. He pays no attention, even when I'm doing housework. By having our daughter handed over to me according to my husband's convenience, the efficiency of housework is deteriorating rapidly. On top of that, due to feeding every 3 hours, I can hardly get a decent sleep. While awake, I'm always in a daze, using up my energy similar to when I was pregnant. One day, something happened. Even on this day, while nursing our daughter, I was about to enter the bedroom when I received a message on my smartphone saying, "Come here for a moment." Come here for a moment? And it's not the next room. I'm struggling with sleep deprivation and a headache, diligently nursing, and despite all that, feeling frustrated in my mind, without waiting for my response, a message arrived stating, "Quickly." Taking advantage of the moment when our daughter fell asleep, I headed to the room next door where my husband was. When I opened the door, my husband was wrapped up in a blanket on the bed. As soon as he saw my face, he grimaced and said,
"You know, my head hurts. Bring some water."
"Isn't it because you were drinking late last night?" I sighed in disgust, and my husband retorted in an irritated voice.
"Are you trying to say it's a hangover?" "That's not it. It's definitely some kind of illness. Hurry up and bring me water."
What's with that way of speaking? Why are you always so high and mighty?
Huh? What about you? How can you not bring water when your own husband is suffering? That's the worst.
At that moment, my love for my husband quickly faded within me. This is ridiculous, using me only when you're in pain. Even during my pregnancy, you were so cold. If it's come to this, I'll tell him all the resentment I've been holding back. I took out my smartphone and called my in-laws. "Oh, sorry to bother you so suddenly. Is this you, Mom? Taylor is complaining about something really serious." Yes. He's making a fuss about being sick. Can you come over?" My husband looked at me with a confused expression. After hanging up the phone, I said to my husband, "Your parents are coming over now."
Calling my parents as being so dramatic.
Dramatic? You're the one who made a fuss about being sick, right?
Even so, there's no need for the parents to come. I just wanted you to bring me water.
If you wanted water, couldn't you have done it yourself?
What's with that way of talking? Who do you think you are?
Who do you think you are? That's my line. Suddenly raising my voice, my husband flinched.
Don't shout like that. It echoes in my head, you know?
So what? You never cared for me when I was in pain. Why do I have to care for you when you're in pain? Isn't that fair?
Well,
I won't let you forget it. During morning sickness, you ignored me, even though I asked for a little help. To make matters worse, you insulted me with, "Who do you think you are?" even though you're a housewife.
No, that is...
You're the one acting high and mighty. I've been desperately raising your child in my womb for 10 months.
Calm down, Megan. Pregnancy is over, right? There's no use barking back now.
Smirking, my husband continued to stare at me. It's over? Who said it was over? Who said it was only during pregnancy?
Huh?
Even after Melissa was born, right? As usual, you don't help with housework, and you leave Melissa's care to me. You're just pampering, and in the end, you're not doing anything, right?
What? That's not true, is it? I properly take care of Melissa.
Properly what? You'd like to say that you're taking care of your child, but all you're doing is giving Melissa a little attention when she's in a good mood. When she is about to cry, you push her to me, and you don't do anything with diapers or milk. Where's the childcare in that? Tell me, okay?
Well, that is...
As I confronted my silent husband, the doorbell rang. When I opened the door, my concerned parents-in-laws were standing there. After guiding them to the bedroom, I told them, "Mom, Dad, I think it's rude to say this right after you came, but I want to divorce Taylor."
Huh?
All three, except for me, opened their mouths in unison.
Megan, divorce? You're lying. Why?
I explained to my husband once again, who still didn't understand his own faults at this point. Why? You still don't get it? During pregnancy after childcare started, you've never once comforted me, have you?
That's not true. I just...
Pregnancy is not an illness. Being pregnant doesn't mean you can be too dependent. Didn't you say those things to me? Even when I was suffering from morning sickness, you didn't help, not even with taking out the trash. And even after Melissa was born, you didn't cooperate with changing diapers or preparing milk. How can I continue our marriage with someone like that?
Wait. Don't say that in front of my parents.
At that moment, my mother-in-law, who had been listening, forcefully intervened.
Explain what just happened, Taylor. What Megan just said. Is it true? Well, that is...
Answer clearly. Did you really say such a horrible thing to Megan when she was pregnant? Like pregnant women are being too dependent?
No, it's not like that. Megan pretends to be sick on purpose.
Pretending to be sick? There's individual variation in pregnancy symptoms, and some people suffer so much that they can't help it. Do you understand that?
I know about morning sickness, but isn't it strange not to be able to do housework?
Just as he was about to desperately argue back, my father-in-law, who had been silent until then, muttered,
"Disgusting."
My mother-in-law started wincing and shaking, and she started cutting in on my husband, who was always making excuses.
Why don't you cut it out? You are so arrogant, even though you haven't experienced it yourself. Do you even understand how childbirth is a life-threatening act?
My husband, who probably didn't expect to be scolded so much by his own mother, remained frozen with his mouth open. Despite this, my mother-in-law continued without mercy.
How can you behave like that toward Megan, who carried your child for almost a year? As a mother, I'm embarrassed for you. I can't believe that she gave birth to such a beautiful daughter, but you've never even fed her, let alone changed her diaper. That's a disqualification as a father. Mom, wait. I won't wait for you. You're the one who made Megan wait all this time, aren't you? If Megan wishes for a divorce, have the decency to listen for once, you foolish son.
With the final blow from his mother, my husband finally gave in. I then went to get the divorce papers and had my husband sign them in front of my in-laws. Thus ended my married life. After the divorce was finalized, I had to return to my parents' home. When I left, my in-laws bowed to me repeatedly.
Megan, my stupid son, I'm so sorry.
I know an apology won't make it go away, but I'm sorry, I really am. Dad, Mom, please raise your heads. I can't thank you both enough for being so good to me, and I'm sorry it had to turn out this way.
No, it's okay. I think this is better for you, Megan and Melissa. That's right. You can always come back and see us again when you feel like it.
Yes, of course. Thank you for all your help. After expressing my gratitude for the last time, I parted ways with my in-laws. Even now, after some time has passed since the divorce, I'm still in contact with my in-laws. It seems that my in-laws have no contact with my ex-husband either. Since my ex-husband and I got married through work, when the reason for the divorce spread within the company, he became an outcast in no time. Taylor apparently didn't help at all with childcare, and his wife got fed up.
Even before that, it seems he didn't do anything during pregnancy, you know.
He was striking poses like, I'm a hands-on dad, though.
Huh? Really? No wonder she left him.
In this awkward atmosphere, my ex-husband reluctantly continues his job. Well, he probably doesn't have the option to quit his job. After all, he has to keep paying child support until our daughter reaches adulthood. Although it means taking away a father figure from our daughter, I don't regret it. I'm sure Melissa will understand when she grows up. From now on, I plan to raise our daughter well, with the help of both parents. Betsy, what's the problem? Karen, my mother-in-law, was grinning. You made the reservation, right? It seems like you didn't make one for me. Of course. This is a family trip after all. Huh? Today is just for the family. The driver isn't part of the family, right? How can you not understand that? At that moment, something inside me snapped. Oh, is that so? Then I guess I'll head home. I grabbed my belongings and headed for the entrance. My name is Betsy. I'm a 30-year-old office worker. I've been married to Lance for 3 years. We're currently living happily together. Lance works for a corporation since graduating from college. We both work, so we're financially stable, and I thought we could continue to live peacefully. Lance has an older brother, and his parents seem to have high expectations for him, being their eldest son. Lance, being the younger, seems to have more freedom. Because of this, my husband and I haven't needed to interact much with his parents, maintaining a comfortable distance. I've never had any issues with them, just visiting during Thanksgiving or Christmas. But they've never complained either. I think our peaceful life is partly because Lance views his family and our home as separate entities. However, one day, everything changed. Betsy, when are you going to have kids? Excuse me? Hurry up and have a boy, will you? I'm counting on you. This was an unexpected directive from Karen, out of the blue. I was shocked. Having children isn't something you can just do if you want to. Lance and I had been thinking about having kids, but it wasn't that simple. I didn't understand why Karen suddenly started saying these things to me, but I responded politely to avoid upsetting her. However, she kept calling, even during work hours. She never used to call so frequently. What was going on? I'd call back when I could, and she'd ask questions like, "Are you pregnant yet? Are you trying to conceive?" I thought she'd get bored and stop calling after a few days, but it only got worse. If I didn't return her calls, she'd leave a ton of messages. Ignoring them only led to more calls. If I were a stay-at-home wife, I might have received even more calls or visits. A chilling thought. Eventually, I couldn't take it anymore and talked to Lance about it. At first, he seemed skeptical, but he was shocked when he saw the extensive calls and message history.
Wow, that's crazy.
I know, right? It's a bit overwhelming. Why this sudden change? Even Lance didn't know. But your parents live with your brother and his wife, right? Why is she contacting me so much?
I'll ask my brother about it.
And he called his brother.
What? For real? Okay, all right.
He's talking to him, looking very surprised. After hanging up, he was visibly surprised. So, what did your brother say?
Turns out, he's divorced.
No, you're kidding, right?
I'm not. His wife left recently, and he moved out to live alone.
I was stunned. They seemed like a happy couple. I never expected them to split up. Lance, deep in thought, muttered to himself.
Maybe, now that my brother is single, my parents are looking to us for a future heir.
Indeed, the timing of the divorce and Karen's calls coincided, and she kept mentioning having a boy. So now that they couldn't rely on the eldest son's family, they were turning their expectations to us. This was troubling. The thought of continuous contact from Karen was daunting. I wanted Lance to stand firm against any pressure from his parents. Karen's calls were relentless. Each time, I talked to my husband, reporting what she said and asking him to intervene. He agreed, but he seemed somewhat pleased, saying,
"But Mom really has high hopes for us."
This bothered me a bit. The stress from her frequent calls was mounting, so some days I turned off my phone to cope. Eventually, I got a budget smartphone for work, so I could keep my personal phone off during work hours. This reduced my stress at work, but my resentment towards her grew. If she continued like this, I considered blocking her number. When I started ignoring her daytime calls, she finally came to our house on a weekend. "Hey, Betsy, Why aren't you answering your phone? Every time I call, it says the phone is off or not connected. Oh, sorry about that. I've been turning off my phone because of how busy work is. What's that all about? Are my calls more important than your work? No. Work is obviously more important, I thought to myself. She berated me even though my husband was with me. You know, if you just got pregnant already, I wouldn't have to call you so often. Do you understand that? No. You can stop with your calls anytime you want. It's up to you, I thought to myself, but didn't say it out loud. It would be too much trouble. I was also hoping my husband would help out. If he spoke up firmly to his mother, maybe she would back off. But contrary to my expectations, he started agreeing with her.
You know, she's right. We need to get pregnant soon.
What?
We need to fix the situation so Mom doesn't have to waste her efforts.
What is he talking about? Why is he agreeing with her and encouraging this behavior? I couldn't understand his intentions. I continued to ignore calls from her. But then, on weekends, she would come over and team up with my husband to blame me. I started to wonder if it was my fault for not being able to have children. So, I worked hard at trying to conceive and even underwent fertility treatments. What if I still can't get pregnant? I worried as months went by, but then one day, I finally got pregnant. I immediately told Lance. He was thrilled, and my mother-in-law was overjoyed. I felt relieved and I had fulfilled my role. During my pregnancy, both Lance and Karen were very kind to me. The frequent calls and snide remarks stopped. They even showed concern for my health. However, when it turned out the baby was a girl, they both changed their attitudes drastically. Honestly, you're just useless.
You have to give birth to a boy to be the successor. I'm seriously disappointed.
I was stunned. Does it really matter if it's a boy or a girl? I was appalled by the sudden change in them. It completely snapped me out of the almost brainwashed state I was in and brought me back to the state before the pregnancy. These people are a bit off, I realized. But I gave birth to a daughter. Karen showed no interest, but my husband was happy, saying she was adorable. That was a relief. I was worried he might completely avoid her. If he had shown no interest in our daughter, I was prepared to leave him. But he did care for her, and I couldn't just take away her father. So, for now, I decided to continue our marriage. Karen didn't even say congratulations or give a baby gift. But as for her, I had already given up and didn't expect anything, so it didn't matter to me. A year passed quickly after my daughter was born. I finished my maternity and parental leave and returned to work. One evening, while having dinner with my husband, my phone rang. Ugh, it's your mother.
Really?
I wonder what she wants. I hadn't received calls from her since the incessant demands for a grandchild, so I was curious about her reason for calling, especially during the evening when I was with my husband. Hesitantly, I answered the phone. Good evening, Betsy. I could tell right away that her attitude was different from usual. I was thinking of going on a family trip next weekend. A sudden family trip? What is she up to this time? And I'd like you to drive. You know, since Lance doesn't have a license. So please. As I listened, she explained that the destination was a winery near enough to drive to. Sure, we could swing by the in-laws on the way, but it would be a bit of a detour. I've already made the reservations, so I'm counting on you, she said before hanging up. She's made reservations even though I haven't agreed to go yet? She's so presumptuous.
What did she say?
I told him about the family trip she was planning.
Really? Awesome.
He was thrilled. He used to keep a moderate distance from his parents, but lately he's been keen on attending these gatherings. Apparently, he's happy to be treated like the eldest son since his brother has cut ties with the family. I thought it didn't matter, but maybe it's important to him as a brother. Lance was happy, and if I refused to drive, Karen would probably be furious. So I decided to endure the trip for one night. Reluctantly, I agreed to go on the trip with my husband and his parents. We decided to leave our daughter with my parents. Then came the day of the trip. We had planned to leave at 6 a.m., pick up my in-laws by 9 a.m., and arrive at our destination by 10 a.m., per Karen's wishes to have time for sightseeing. I woke up at 5 a.m. to get ready, and my husband, still groggy, managed to wake up as well. All right, let's get going, I said to myself, determined to make the best of the trip. After a 2.5-hour drive, we were finally nearing my in-laws' place. But I shouldn't have underestimated the Saturday morning traffic, especially since it was the start of a long weekend. We arrived at their house right at 9 a.m. When we rang the doorbell, it was my father-in-law, Scott, who answered.
Oh, good. You made it. Sorry to trouble you, but my wife is still getting ready. Can you wait in the car?
So, Karen, who had insisted on starting early to sightsee, wasn't even ready yet. We waited in the car for about 5 minutes before Karen finally appeared. Sorry about that, she said, not seeming sorry at all. My husband and Scott sat in the back, so she took the passenger seat. As I drove, she kept clicking her tongue and muttering complaints about my driving in a low voice, thinking the men couldn't hear. I chose not to react, just driving while she grumbled for over an hour. Soon, vineyards began to appear, signaling our arrival. It was just past 10 a.m. I was relieved we made it on time, but then Karen said something as we got out of the car. You said we'd be here by 10. And we're late. Her comment irritated me, considering the delay was entirely her fault. We spent the time before checking in sightseeing and eating, and even though she had me running errands like carrying bags and waiting in lines, I tried to stay positive, thinking I just had to endure this overnight trip. Finally, it was time to check in. Betsy, could you go check us in? Yes, of course. I thought once we checked in, there wouldn't be much else to do. At the reception desk, I said, I have a reservation at 3 p.m. for 5 people. Martinez. But something was wrong. The clerk looked confused. We have a reservation for 4 people. I instantly knew what had happened. Karen had made the reservation. The clerk, sensing something amiss, apologetically informed me. We were told during the reservation that there would be only 1 female guest, aged 60. Clearly, Karen had intentionally excluded me. I was embarrassed to have caused a scene at the hotel. I'm sorry. There seems to be a mistake with our reservation. Can we add another person? The clerk tried to help, but eventually said, I'm sorry, but we can't add another person to your room, and we're fully booked today. As I stood there wondering what to do, Karen approached. Betsy, what's the problem? She was smirking. You made the reservation, right? It seems like you didn't make one for me. I couldn't help but speak sharply due to her attitude. Then Karen said something unbelievable. Of course. This is a family trip. Huh? Today is just for the family. The driver isn't family, right? How can you not understand that? At that moment, something inside me snapped. I couldn't be part of a family with such people. Oh, I see. Then I'll go home. Yes, you do that. A daughter-in-law who can't even bear a male heir has no place in our family. She was smirking triumphantly. I grabbed my luggage and headed to the entrance. My husband and Scott looked surprised.
Hey, Betsy, what's going on?
It was Scott who came after me, not my husband. It seems Karen intentionally didn't make a reservation for me.
What? Is that true?
He was shocked. Well, it's something she would do. And since my husband is on her side, I'm going home. I glanced at the reception and saw my husband laughing and talking with Karen, seemingly unconcerned about me. My feelings for him had completely changed.
Wait a minute. What's going on?
He didn't know about her bullying. It's a long story. I'll send you some evidence on your phone later. I really don't want to see her face anymore today, so please, let me go. I said that and left the hotel. As I drove away, tears started to flow. I couldn't forgive them for their treatment and was angry with my husband for not defending me. I decided to take action against them and hurried home. I packed my bags and returned to my parents' house. They were surprised but furious when they heard the story. After calming down, I sent the audio evidence to Scott. The audio I sent to him included all the demeaning comments and harassment from his wife and son that I had recorded over time. It had their pressure about having a grandchild soon, Lance's agreement with it, and the vile words when they found out I was having a girl. It also included their rush for a boy after our daughter was born and the recent interaction at the hotel, which I had recorded. His response to the evidence was apologetic.
Thank you for the data, and I'm sorry for all the pain you've been through.
Things moved quickly after that. Lance rushed home and contacted me in a panic.
Hey, why is all your stuff gone?
I can't be with someone who sides with their mother instead of protecting me. Let's get a divorce. He was shocked by the mention of divorce.
Let's at least talk about this.
So I went back to our house for the first time in days, leaving my daughter with my parents. When I arrived, both Karen and Scott were there. Betsy, you're the one who brought up divorce? What are you thinking? You think you can get away with that? I won't allow a divorce. If you want a divorce, have a son first. She was as harsh as ever, losing her composure even in front of her husband.
Yeah, you have responsibilities, so no divorce.
I was beyond anger. I was just appalled. It doesn't matter what you want. I'm prepared to fight this through mediation or whatever it takes. I have evidence of your mother's bullying and the fact that you never protected me. This is more than enough for a divorce, and I might even claim alimony. My statement made Lance and Karen panic.
What? Alimony? Let's not make a big deal out of this.
Well, it is a big deal. Do you have any idea how much I've suffered? You'll never understand the pain of not being protected by your own husband. Anyway, I'm set on getting a divorce. At that point, Karen, not wanting to lose, turned to her husband for support. Say something to her. Scott then spoke up calmly.
Well said, Bessie. Be strong for your daughter. Leave my son and stupid wife to me.
Wait, what are you saying?
Dad, what are you talking about? Quiet. I'm disappointed in both of you. Aren't you ashamed of your petty bullying again?
What do you mean, again?
I've been told before by our eldest son's wife about bullying from you. They said they'd resolve it, so I didn't intervene. But now you've started bullying our younger son's wife. I won't forgive this. I want a divorce.
What? Are you serious?
Of course. Unless I'm cutting ties with you. What? Dad, why? I'm disappointed in you also. A man who can't cherish his wife is not my son. Reflect on what you've done.
Both Karen and Lance were devastated by Scott's declaration of divorce and disownment. With Scott's help, I was able to divorce Lance and receive alimony and child support. Karen, having been a housewife for years, couldn't find work and ended up moving in with Lance, who struggled financially due to the alimony and child support. I felt they got what they deserved. Later, Scott contacted me again, saying Lance's brother wanted to talk. At the cafe, I met not only him, but also his wife. It turned out they had pretended to divorce to escape from Karen and continued living together, a plan proposed by Scott. I was glad to know they hadn't actually separated. Now I often meet with my former brother-in-law, his wife, and Scott for meals, always bringing my daughter along. Scott is delighted to see his granddaughter. Being a working mother, I manage well as a single parent, enjoying a peaceful life free from the stress of my ex-husband and ex-mother-in-law. I look forward to working hard and watching my daughter grow up. At home, when I was packing my belongings, my smartphone suddenly rang. The screen displayed the word, Mom. I picked up the phone and answered the call. Hello?
Hey, where are you right now?
I'm at home.
Our son has been urgently transported to the hospital. Come to the hospital right away.
In a tense moment, my mother-in-law informs me of my husband's emergency, but I could not suppress a burst of laughter. Mom, I'm not going to the hospital, okay?
What are you saying? If something happens...
I don't care about if something happens, because my feelings have been decided for a long time. My name is Ashley Miller, and I'm 29 years old. I'm a very ordinary company employee working for a major beverage manufacturer. My husband, Travis, and I have been married for over 2 years. People around me often say things like, seems to have no worries, and each time I laugh it off. But is there really anyone in this world without worries? Even someone as carefree looking as me is currently burdened by a significant concern. The catalyst was 3 months ago, and it happened so suddenly. My smartphone received a message from my husband. We'll be late due to overtime. Since preparing dinner for just myself after returning home seemed troublesome, I decided to dine out somewhere. I headed to a restaurant that had caught my interest, 3 stops before the nearest station. Despite being tired from work, it being the weekend made my steps light. This restaurant had received high ratings, and I had wanted to try it for a while. If the food is good, I thought I'd bring Travis next time. Replying on the smartphone map, I arrived at the restaurant. The storefront was illuminated, and though small in size, it exuded a certain presence. Just as I put my hand on the entrance door, a cruel sight came into my eyes. What? Why? In the back seat, there was my husband. Across from him sat an unfamiliar woman with long hair. Without hesitation, I let go of the doorknob and desperately tried to control my trembling body. What am I looking at now? I couldn't believe my eyes. What does that mean? Travis said he has overtime today. Who's the woman with him? What's their relationship? Questions arose one after another, gradually leading to panic. One thing is certain. My husband is having dinner with a woman at a restaurant under the guise of working late. Unable to stand still, I turned on my heel with determination. I just want to get away from that place, so I kept running in a frenzy. When I came to my senses, I found myself in an illuminated park. I sat on a bench to sort the situation. Perhaps my husband is just having a meal with a colleague from work. There might be nothing suspicious. I tell myself this over and over again and decide to go home for the time being. I decided to wait for my husband to get home and talk to him. I'm home. The front door opened, and my husband's lively voice could be heard. Checking the time, it was already past 11 p.m. I couldn't shake off the discomfort, thinking about him being alone with another woman until this late hour. For now, I pretended not to know anything and brought up the conversation. Hey, Travis. So today, did you eat somewhere? Somewhere, I mean, I bought dinner at a convenience store and had it at the office. While working? Of course. I didn't have the luxury to sit down in a restaurant. I was too busy. You were that busy? So going out to eat with a colleague from work?
Oh, no. I was invited for a drink by a colleague who stayed late, but I said, "My wife is waiting," and came straight home.
Travis talks as if he were proudly describing himself as a good husband. I could only put on a fake smile because I knew it was all a lie. Maybe I should have confronted him more firmly at that moment. But without clear evidence, claiming cheating would put me at a disadvantage. If he's really cheating, I'll have to gather solid proof before discussing it with him. It's not the right time for that, I convinced myself. From that day on, I began to investigate my husband's movements. I started noticing several suspicious behaviors that I hadn't paid attention to before. He always carries his smartphone with him, never leaving it behind. Late at night, he quietly leaves the bedroom and doesn't return for about an hour. And the frequency of overtime has noticeably increased compared to before. Overtime work, which used to be at most a few times a week, occurs now almost daily. Business trips, which used to occur once every few months at most, have increased every month in the past 6 months. With the unmistakable oddities in my husband's behavior, I became convinced. He is indeed cheating. And the other woman is the one with the long hair I saw that time. From then on, things progressed quickly. Since my working hours end an hour earlier than my husband's, on days when I received a notice about overtime, I started waiting for him at a cafe where I could see his office. When he came out, I followed him and, as expected, found him meeting his affair partner in an alley. It was a woman I saw at that restaurant. The two of them boldly embraced, exchanging kisses a few times. I recorded that moment on my smartphone, enduring the nausea. Afterward, they hailed a taxi and disappeared somewhere. Since further tailing them was difficult, I abandoned the pursuit there. Back home, I checked the video, but due to the darkness, it wasn't very clear. I don't know if this is enough evidence. So I decided to take the bold step of hiring a private investigator. While searching for a reputable detective agency on my computer, my smartphone rang. When I realize it's my mother-in-law calling, my brow furrows involuntarily. Letting out a deep sigh, I switched my mindset and answered the phone. Hello?
Ah, Ashley, it's me. What were you doing just now?
Huh? Right now? Well, I was doing some research on the computer.
You answered the phone earlier than usual, so I figured it must be something like that. If you were cooking or doing laundry, you'd have taken longer to answer, right? Even if you're doing housework or not, it should be the same as long as you have your smartphone with you.
I couldn't quite understand my mother-in-law's reasoning, but without delving into it, I continued the conversation. So Mom, what's the matter today?
It's not what's the matter. You know what it is. When are you going to quit your job?
If it's about that, as I always say, I don't have plans to quit my job anytime soon.
Huh? Are you still saying that? You're part of the Miller family, you know? Instead of working, hurry up and focus on the household.
But considering the future, I think it's better for me to work and save money.
Travis is earning, so there shouldn't be any problem, right? You always make excuses. You're not cute as a daughter-in-law, you know?
In my usual habit, I involuntarily mutter an apology. I'm fed up with myself like that. Is it a story from some bygone era that women quit their jobs and enter the home just because they got married? To put it plainly, I actually earn more than my husband. My mother-in-law is still unaware of this fact, and she mistakenly believes I'm just a daughter-in-law who continues to work without contributing significantly. It's fine that her son is dear to her, but it's going too far. The calls from my mother-in-law are increasing day by day. What started as once a month is now every 2 days. Every time, I'm told to quit my job and focus on the family, and it's wearing me out. Even consulting with my husband hasn't led to a solution. I've asked him many times to talk to his mother, but he hasn't done anything. Instead, my husband laughed and said,
But isn't what Mom says true?
Travis, do you also think I should quit my job?
It's not that, but it's normal, right? A woman is better off being at home, isn't she?
But if I do that, our life will...
Huh? Are you implying my earnings are not enough?
No, it's not like that.
So that's what you mean, right? Whether you're looking down on me or not, making such comments is a turn-off.
I'm sorry. Since then, I feel like I might step on his landmine again, so I can't bring up this kind of conversation. Perhaps, no matter how carefully I choose my words, he will interpret them sarcastically. If he's cheating, he likely thinks I won't find out at all. Maybe he doesn't even expect me to do anything if I find out. His actions had become so bold. Perhaps it is my own fault for not having noticed the affair before. But the fact remains that cheating is far worse. Afterward, I found a reputable private investigator. So I decided to request an investigation of my husband's affair to find out who the other party was and to get proof of the affair. A few days later, when I went to inquire about the results, the outcome confirmed my suspicions. The person involved in the affair was a woman named Rachel Silva, a colleague at the same company as my husband. I was thinking that I would like to have more evidence when my husband made the following comment.
Next weekend, I have a business trip.
Business trip? Where to?
Chicago. I'll buy souvenirs, so look forward to it.
Got it. I'm looking forward to it. I don't know if he's really going on a business trip or if he's going out with his affair partner. Anyway, I decided to inform the investigator at the private detective agency about this fact and request an investigation. While he's away on the business trip, I decided to visit my parents' house. A week later, my phone suddenly rang in the morning. The screen displayed, "Message from Mom." While thinking that this might be the last time I talked to her, I tapped the call button. Hello?
Hey, where are you right now?
My mother-in-law inquires about my whereabouts with a sense of urgency. I knew that this was not a normal situation, but I responded calmly. Now? I'm at home.
Home? Then pack your bags right away.
Huh? What do you mean?
Travis has been rushed to the hospital. Come to the hospital immediately.
Rushed to the hospital? Why do you, Mom, know about it?
We got a call. He told the ambulance crew to call me, not his wife, you.
My mother-in-law explains this to me with a somewhat triumphant tone. Perhaps my husband asked his mother to contact me, fearing that his affair would be exposed. Unaware of this, my mother-in-law yelled at me.
Are you listening? Travis had an accident. He's conscious, but he can't move his body.
No, really?
Oh, really? Is that all you can say? Anyway, come to the hospital right away. Here's the location.
The hospital's address and phone number are provided through the phone. However, such irrelevant details don't register in my ears. My mind is filled with a sense of serves you right, so those details don't matter. Simultaneously, I became convinced that the timing for revenge is now and no other time.
Are you even listening?
My mother-in-law raises her voice and I quietly respond. Mom, I won't go to the hospital.
What are you saying? If something happens...
If something happens? Even if something were to happen, it's his own fault, isn't it? I'm going back to my parents' house.
Huh? Are you serious? Your husband has been rushed to the emergency room.
Soon he won't be my husband anymore. Goodbye. Saying this, I ended the call. My mother-in-law called several times afterward, but I didn't answer. A few days later, when I visited the detective agency, I heard a surprising fact from the investigator. What? Paralyzed on one side?
Yes, it seems your husband, who was in the passenger seat during the accident, was severely injured.
What about that woman, Rachel?
She only suffered minor bruises. She has already been discharged.
I see. It turns out that the one driving was not my husband, but his affair partner. I had heard that in the case of a car accident, the passenger seat could suffer more significant damage, but I never expected it to be this severe. However, even after hearing about such a situation, I didn't feel any pity. Instead, I couldn't help but see it as a punishment for betraying me. After receiving evidence of the affair trip from the private investigator, I immediately visited a law firm. Since the evidence was solid, I was able to quickly initiate divorce proceedings and claim alimony. That night, as I was about to go to sleep at my parents' house, my phone rang. My husband's name appeared on the screen. With the intention of settling things with this call, I answered. Hello?
Ashley, why aren't you coming to the hospital?
Why? It wasn't you who told the paramedics to call my mother-in-law.
But you're still my wife, right? Normal wives would come, at least for a visit.
Why wouldn't I come for a visit? Don't you understand that better than anyone else?
Huh?
Did you think you weren't caught? Your affair? That affair trip with Rachel ended in a terrible accident. My condolences.
Why bring up Rachel?
Seemingly, my husband didn't think I was aware. He stammered and appeared unsettled. In the background, my mother-in-law's voice could be heard asking,
What's going on?
It seemed she didn't comprehend the situation. Making sure she heard, I responded loudly. I knew you were cheating. I was just waiting for the right moment. Even this time, I went back to my parents' house when you went out.
Wait a minute. I did indeed have a relationship with another woman, but we've already broken up.
Broken up?
As soon as I became partially paralyzed, she said, I can't handle caregiving.
Ha! Serves you right, doesn't it? Being dumped so easily is quite amusing, isn't it?
What's amusing about it? I'm so hurt. Just come and visit already.
Even in this situation, my husband seemed devoid of any guilt. It felt foolish to continue the conversation, so I decisively spoke. So hurt? Come and visit? Don't make me laugh. Do you have any idea how much I've suffered because of your affair? You, who betrayed your wife without a second thought, have no right to say you're hurt.
It's not that.
See, you can't even respond, can you? You did the lowest possible thing. No matter how much you apologize or grovel, I won't forgive you. You and your mother there. You've trampled on people's feelings, caused so much suffering. I don't care what happens to you two. Recognize your sins and spend the rest of your life in discomfort. Carry that paralyzed body of yours.
Wait, Ashley. Hey, Ash.
I ended the call abruptly, as if cutting off his attempts to cry and beg. To avoid further involvement, I set the call to reject all future calls. Later on, we divorced. He and his cheating partner were charged a reasonable fee for the affair. The lump sum alimony payment apparently left Travis's savings in the negative. With his inability to work as before, his income essentially became zero. He was left paralyzed and in debt. He is now living with his mother at his parents' house, but his body is not doing what it wants, and he seems to be getting more and more stressed every day. Because of that, he and his mother are arguing loudly, their arguments reaching the whole neighborhood. But honestly, I don't feel sorry for them. It seems like the right consequence. At best, I hope he suffers and atone for his sins. I, on the other hand, live peacefully at home with my parents. I talked to my job about it and asked to move closer to home. After dealing with a lot, I want to be a bit kinder to myself. If I get the chance to meet someone nice, I'll take my time and build a good relationship. When I returned home on the night of the wedding anniversary, there was my husband and the figure of an unfamiliar, flashy-looking woman.
Let me introduce her. She's my girlfriend.
Huh? Seeing me speechless, the affair partner burst into laughter. Hey,
This lady looks dumbfounded, and it's hilarious.
Hey, don't laugh. We're dropping a bomb on her on our wedding anniversary, and she's surprised.
The two of them, with vulgar smiles on their faces, I finally opened my mouth. So, what's the deal with that girlfriend of yours?
Get out of here. We'll be living here, me and her. You're useless here. Pack your things and be gone by tomorrow.
Why are you suddenly saying this? Do you think I'll agree to that?
Hey, haven't I said enough? I'm tired of seeing your gloomy face. Don't interfere with us, ugly.
At that moment, I heard a sound like something inside me has snapped. Yes, if that's how you're going to talk, then I won't hold back anymore.
Are you too shocked to even speak? It's understandable. Look at us. We're in love after all.
My husband hugged the shoulder of the woman with whom he was having an affair. The moment I saw that, I suddenly burst out laughing. After this, my foolish husband will have plenty of hell to pay. My name is Olivia, and I'm 35 years old. I'm married and born as the only daughter of the Smith family. My father ran a small company called Smith Industries, and we were relatively well off. My childhood was happy with a family-oriented father and a kind mother who was a homemaker. However, when I was in the 3rd grade, my mother fell ill. During the progressive illness, my mother passed away within 3 months of hospitalization. At that time, I mourned deeply together with my father. For both me and my father, my mother was an irreplaceable presence. Afterward, I lived with my father, supporting him. To support my father, I learned household chores. Though busy as a company president, my father always made sure to attend my school events and sports festivals. The two of us somehow managed to get by. Eventually, I graduated from college and started working as an executive secretary at a major company. Being a secretary was a demanding job, but it was fulfilling. I dedicated myself to work for several years. Before I knew it, even though I was approaching my late 20s, I didn't have a boyfriend. A colleague introduced me to a man, and that man later became my husband, Craig. Craig worked as a sales representative for a beverage company. From the beginning, he boldly approached me. For someone with little experience in romance like me, it seemed like he was a dependable and masculine presence. We started dating. A year and a half later, Craig made the long-awaited proposal.
Olivia, please marry me. I'll definitely make you happy.
Thanks, Craig. I'm glad. We decided to visit each other's parents and seek their approval for the marriage. After receiving support from the in-laws, the next step was to go to my father's place for the final approval.
Oh, so you're Craig, huh? I've heard about you from my daughter.
My father welcomed us with a happy expression. When Craig expressed his desire to marry me, my father nodded in satisfaction.
Of course. I support your marriage. Thank you, Dad.
Then the father brought up something unexpected.
Craig, don't you have any intention of joining our company? Huh? We were just looking for a salesperson. If you're interested, would you consider joining our company? I'd like you to work with us as the successor. Me? As the successor?
Craig's eyes sparkled with excitement. My father had always said,
A president undergoes significant hardships, so I'd prefer to have a son-in-law take over if possible, rather than my daughter.
In response to such words from my father, Craig lowered his head.
Dad, please. I appreciate it. Is that so? If you're coming, I promise you a good position. I'll make sure you're well taken care of.
And so my marriage and Craig's employment were decided at the same time. Afterward, we had a wedding ceremony and started living in a house located between our workplaces. However, despite both of us working, Craig didn't contribute to household chores. He didn't throw trash in the bin, left clothes scattered, and didn't even bother to wash the dishes after eating. Initially, I did everything, attributing it to the honeymoon phase. But after a few months of such a lifestyle, stress began to build up. I finally spoke to my husband. Craig, can't you help with the housework a little? We're both working, and it's not fair for me to do everything. Craig, lying on the sofa and looking at his phone, responded casually.
Huh? Why can't you continue doing it like before, Olivia?
Huh?
Taking care of the house has always been the wife's job since ancient times. I'm tired from work.
I work outside the home too. Craig frowned.
Look, I'm working hard to take over after your old man. I'm exhausted every day because he keeps pushing me around. Don't I deserve some gratitude?
Of course, I'm grateful, but...
Then, show your gratitude toward your actions. Household chores are your responsibility. Don't tell me to help. Got it?
And so, Craig completely delegated the household chores to me. This kind of life continued for several years, and I had given up. I thought that as long as I endured, our marriage would be fine. Around the 4th year of our marriage, perhaps, Craig started claiming he was busy with work and began to be absent from home frequently. Days when he returned home drunk in the middle of the night increased. Considering his job in sales, it was inevitable that there would be many business dinners and drinking sessions. Thinking so, I didn't say anything in particular. It was a shock when he completely forgot my birthday. When I told Craig it was my birthday, he just laughed dismissively.
Oh, really? Already 34, huh? You've become an old lady.
While hurt, I wondered if couples inevitably become like this after 5 years of marriage. I felt lonely inside. On one such day, Craig came home very late, completely drunk. He threw his belongings on the living room sofa and passed out. Watching him with exasperation, I picked up the scattered items. Then, Craig's phone slipped from his hand and fell with a thud on the floor. When I picked it up, I was astonished. There was a text message notification on his phone. Craig, thanks again today. You were great again. So, I can't stand up yet. Let's meet again soon. The sender's name was Christina. Shaken but determined, I placed Craig's phone on the table. Does this mean what I think it does? Unbelievable. I have to investigate. So I decided to hire a detective to look into Craig. A few weeks later, on our 5th wedding anniversary, I finished work and opened the front door of our home. There were Craig's shoes and unfamiliar woman's heels. Confused, I raised my head, and I instantly froze. Craig and an unfamiliar woman were standing in front of me grinning. The woman had flashy hair, wore a miniskirt, and her cleavage was visible. She appeared to be in her mid to late 20s. Oh, wait, what is this? Who is she? Trembling, I asked Craig.
Oh, you're finally home. Sit down. There's something important to discuss.
Saying that, Craig gestured for me to sit at the dining table. Craig and the woman sat side by side on the sofa. Explain properly. What is going on? In response to my question, he said,
Let me introduce you. She's Christina, My girlfriend.
Huh? Seeing me in shock, Christina burst out laughing. Seriously, this old lady is dumbfounded. It's hilarious.
Hey, don't laugh like that. We're dropping a bomb on her on our wedding anniversary, and she's surprised.
The two of them, with vulgar smiles on their faces, I finally found the strength to speak. So, what's the deal with this girlfriend of yours?
Get out of here. She and I will live here. You're no longer of any use to us. Just pack your bags and be gone tomorrow.
What are you suddenly talking about? Do you think I'll accept that?
Hey, don't I have to say this much before you get it? I'm tired of seeing your annoying face. Don't interfere with us, ugly.
At that moment, I heard a distinct sound of something breaking within myself. Yes, that's how you want to put it? Fine. I won't hold back either.
Shocked into silence, huh? Well, considering we're in love, it's understandable.
My husband hugged the shoulder of the woman with whom he was having an affair. The moment I saw that, I suddenly burst out laughing. Craig and Christina look at me with an eerie expression as I suddenly start laughing.
What's wrong with you? It's creepy.
Hey, what's up with this lady? I can't believe she suddenly started laughing. Did she go crazy from the shock? After laughing for a while, I wiped away the tears accumulating at the corners of my eyes and said, "It's about time, isn't it?"
Huh?
Just then, our home doorbell rang, and there stood my father. I had called my father immediately after inviting them into the house earlier. "Hey, who's this old man?" Christina's face was distorted. Then Craig hurriedly told her.
Dad, what happened all of a sudden? Craig, what on earth is going on?
Suddenly, Craig's eyes darted around nervously. We, father and I, stood side by side in front of Craig and Christina. Without hesitation, I addressed Craig's affair partner. Now, Christina, was it? First of all, where did you meet Craig? As I started the conversation, Christina answered while glaring at me. Craig visited the club where I worked. When you say club, do you mean a nightclub or something? Yeah, but what's the problem with that? No problem at all. So did you and Craig meet at the club and fall in love? Why were you attracted to Craig? As she said this, Christina looked at Craig with dreamy eyes. Because Craig is the next president, isn't he? There's no one more suitable for a promising future like him than me. At that point, I burst into laughter again. It was so funny that I couldn't stop laughing. Hey, old hag, what's so funny? The next president? How did you hear that? He tells me he's working to take over his parents' company. When you say parents, you mean my father, right? This man only joined my father's company as a son-in-law. What? Christina compared Craig's face to my father's, and then Craig, with a smug look, said this.
Oh, it's a fact that I'm the next successor.
Then my father responded with an exasperated tone.
After causing such a scandal, how do you think you can inherit the company? Huh?
Craig was the only one not grasping the situation. He had been planning to inherit the company despite cheating on me and telling me to get out. Realizing this, I was genuinely disgusted. My father only wanted to let you inherit the company because you're my husband. After betraying me, he's not going to announce the company now.
What? Wait a minute. That's a problem.
Then my father spoke.
For now, you're fired as of today. What? Fired? Why should I be fired from my company for something private? That would be an unfair dismissal.
Craig turned bright red and attacked me, but my father calmly told him off.
We did an internal investigation and found that you were skipping out on company business while you were out on your rounds. There are records on the dash cam showing you going to a motel. Were you meeting that woman during work? Ugh. Your sales performance was terrible, and your work attitude was terrible. Even so, I kept you around solely for my daughter's sake. However, even that sense of obligation is gone now. You're fired. Absolutely.
Craig, stunned by his father's words, faltered. Then, Christina raised her voice.
Wait a minute. Does that mean Craig will be unemployed?
That's right. My condolences. Craig, with a pale face, informed Christina.
Well, but it's okay, right? We have love. If you, Christina, support me until I find a new job...
Love, huh? As I said this mockingly, Craig glared sharply at me.
What's with you? Don't be jealous, ugly.
Here you go, a present from an ugly woman to you. I spread several photos on the table. The photos showed Christina holding hands with another young man on a date and entering a motel. Seeing this, Craig's eyes widened.
What's this?
Actually, a little while ago, I happened to see a text message from Christina on your smartphone. When I had the detective agency investigate, we found something interesting.
Detective agency? Hey, wait, is this for real?
While Craig stared at the photos as if he couldn't believe it, Christina turned pale beside him.
Hey, Christina, what does this mean? Were you with another man besides me?
Then Christina shouted,
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Don't let the unemployed talk to me!
Huh?
Who would bother with someone like you if you're not the heir and wealthy? Marrying into a family's company and getting fired on top of that? It's the worst! I was deceived!
What's that supposed to mean? You said you loved me, didn't you?
As the two of them started a heated argument, I intervened with a clap of my hands. Smiling at Craig and Christina, who were staring at me in astonishment, I calmly said, So, Christina, you only got close to Craig for the money, right? There was no love from the beginning, huh?
Of course. Why should I have to go through this? I was deceived.
To Christina, who was almost in tears, I coldly stated, Why pretend to be a victim? You willingly got involved with a married man, didn't you? You'll have to take responsibility for that, and I'll be taking a hefty $17,000 in compensation.
Huh? $17,000 is impossible.
Just show me something that proves your identity. As I asserted, Christina turned pale and took out her driver's license. I quickly noted down her address and real name. I'll send the documents later, so look forward to it. You can leave now. Christina grabbed her bag and dashed home, crying. Left behind, Craig was dumbfounded, muttering something.
This can't be. It's a lie. Christina betrayed me. She was only after money.
You seem to be in a lot of shock. Before anything else, don't you have something to say to us? When I inquired, Craig's expression changed to a startled one, and he crumbled on the spot.
I was wrong. I was deceived by an awful woman. I truly love only you. So please, let's go back to how things were.
As Craig said that and glanced at me, my father clicked his tongue.
How ridiculous. He passionately claimed to love Christina just a moment ago. And now, as soon as her infidelity was exposed, he completely flipped?
Taking a deep breath, I angrily confronted him. Who do you think will accept you back to the way you were? We're getting a divorce. We have evidence, so I'll make sure to collect a hefty alimony. Be prepared, you worthless man. As Craig shrank under the stern gaze of a fierce me and my father, he promptly fled from the scene.
Later on, the divorce between Craig and me was finalized. I managed to secure all of our shared savings and a $20,000 alimony. Naturally, I also claimed alimony from Christina. When she pleaded that she couldn't pay, I threatened legal action, and she quickly transferred the money. True to my father's declaration, Craig was fired from the company. It seems he also broke up with Christina. Contributing to Christina without saving much, he resorted to borrowing money to pay the alimony owed to me. Now he has moved to a rundown apartment and works day and night to make ends meet. Craig has lost everything: the seat of the next company president, savings, and his partner. On the other hand, I apologized to my father for the trouble caused by Craig. In response, my father reconsidered his stance and said,
"Observing how you handled this situation, I thought you could take over the company. I strongly request you to consider it."
I am currently studying various aspects as the potential successor. I want to dedicate myself to my work from now on, while brightly carving out my own life. When 5 wives with suspicions of infidelity in their husbands gathered for the first time, one of the betrayed wives pulled out a tablet linked to her husband's messaging app. On it, exchanges between the cheating husbands were displayed. A message read, "How about a trip next time?" "Of course, all of us. My family owns a spacious villa." Another husband replied, "Sounds great. Let's all go." "Sounds good. Let's all go," replied another. Furthermore, another husband stated, "A trip with just the guys. Being unmarried is the best." Everyone chimed in with "Sounds good," and "Seriously the best." From there, plans from the trip began to take shape in the messaging app group. While showing the tablet, one wife turned pale and said, "This means each of them will bring their respective affair partners, and we'll be a group of 10 on the trip, right?" Upon hearing that, I felt a surge of anger rising within me. A group infidelity trip with 10 people. What are these guys thinking? I'll definitely bring them down to hell. Our counterattack is about to begin. My name is Amelia, and I'm a 34-year-old part-time housewife. I met my husband, William, through my friend Karen's introduction. Karen and I were close friends from the same club in college, and despite working at different companies after graduation, we remained good friends. Around when I was the age of 28, Karen suggested I meet a junior colleague of hers. That's when I was introduced to William, 2 years younger than me. As Karen had previously told me, William was a bit of a goofball, but he had a cheerful personality. I gradually started to like him. Karen, too, was dating William's colleague, Samuel, and the 4 of us often went on double dates. Later, Karen and Samuel got married. William and I were invited to Karen's weddings as best friends, and a year later, William proposed to me. When we were getting married, William told me,
"Let's build a happy home together."
"Yeah, with you, William, that seems possible."
"I want to make our wedding as fun as possible."
"Of course. We have to invite Karen and the other couples." At this time, I was indeed surrounded by happiness. However, after starting our life together, a dark cloud quickly loomed over our newlywed days. Despite both of us working, William did no household chores. Despite my nagging, he only gave me a bothersome look and never helped. He often argued about household matters, and the married life I imagined became distant. After being married for a year, William started coming home later and later. He even said he had to work on weekends and holidays, leading to a noticeable decrease in our couple conversations. I was troubled about what to do. One evening, out of the blue, I was summoned to a bar by my close friend, Karen. Since I received a message from William that he would be late that day, I decided to meet Karen, seizing the opportunity to spread my wings. "Long time no see, Karen. It's been a long time since we've seen each other since we got married." I cheerfully greeted her, but she seemed strangely serious.
"Thank you for coming, Amelia.
What's going on, Karen? Why such a gloomy face? Did something happen? Amelia, has everything been going well with William lately? Asked this, I momentarily choked on my words. Can I say that everything is fine when he's uncooperative with housework and our home life is in chaos? Why are you asking such a thing? Did something happen? Then, as if resigned, Karen handed me her phone. On the screen was something like the playback interface of a video. What's this? It might be shocking, but take a look at the content, Karen said, looking down. I nervously clicked play. It showed the figures of two men from the shadows of a large potted plant, and their conversation was clearly audible.
Hey, William, how's it going with your wife lately? Oh, you don't need to ask, right? Not at all. She's so annoying, telling me to do housework. I mean, we're married, so shouldn't the wife do it?
It was undoubtedly a conversation between my husband, William, and Karen's husband, Samuel. Despite the shock, I continued watching.
It's the same everywhere. Karen's also annoying, you know. Just because I got promoted, she acts high and mighty at home. She doesn't know about gender equality. We might have been at a loss marrying older women. Exactly. Just getting older and more annoying.
William and Samuel were excitedly bad-mouthing us and laughing together. Even that alone was shocking. But then, William spoke up.
Dealing with the grind of office life, getting bossed around at home. We need some relief, right? You got it. Ugh. Don't want to see Karen's face anymore. Can't wait to see Diana. I'm grabbing a meal with Nola today. Not just food, huh? You really caught that receptionist, huh? That's where I shine. You've had your moments with Diana too, Mr. Sales Department's charmer.
They share vulgar laughs. Nola? Diana? This conversation, is it what I think? The next moment, Samuel's words confirmed my unsettling suspicion.
But no one would imagine we're having an office affair, huh? You got a wife at the office and you're still doing this. That's where the thrill is. Of course, we can't let it be discovered.
My hands were trembling as I realized. An office affair? And both William and Samuel? Their conversation continued.
By the way, did you know? Our juniors, Mark and Jeff, in the sales department are also hooked up with some girls. Seriously? All I know is that the receptionist is dating Bill. Bill too? Mark, Jeff, and Bill are all married, right? How much are they fooling around? Right. Let's go for drinks with Mark, Jeff, Bill, and us. We'll call it the Cheating Husbands Club. Sounds good. I'll invite them next week.
The video ended there. I stared in shock and looked at Karen. What does this mean? William, Samuel, and I are in different departments. So 3 days ago, a junior from my department went to the break room and overheard this conversation without them realizing. My junior, understandably upset, recorded a video and reported it to me. Karen said with a tired expression, and I responded with a trembling voice. We need to confront them immediately. It's unbelievable, both of them having an affair. Wait, Amelia, calm down. Even if we confront them, the evidence is weak. It's also an internal issue, so we need more confirmation. Oh, I see. For now, I plan to inform the wives of Mark, Jeff, and Bill. If we do that, we might collaborate to gather evidence. Of Mark, Jeff, and Bill, Karen is acquainted with Mark's wife and has her contact information. Since Mark's wife seems to have connections with Jeff's and Bill's wives, Karen will rely on Mark's wife for further steps. If they have the Cheating Husbands Club, then we'll have the Betrayed Wives Club, right? With a wry smile, Karen continued. We disbanded temporarily, returning to our respective lives. I wasn't sure how to face William, and his frequent absence honestly helped. The following week, the Betrayed Wives Club came into existence. The wives of Mark, Jeff, and Bill, watching the video, were shocked. To add to it, Mark's and Bill's wives were pregnant. I felt sorry for them, knowing we unintentionally delivered such a blow. Unbelievable. I had no clue. Tears welled up in Mark's and Jeff's wife's eyes. Then Bill's wife informed us. It seems like the Cheating Husbands Club has already taken place. They've created a group on the messaging app. Huh? You saw messages on your husband's app? Yes, he syncs his smartphone with the tablet. He was coming home late, so I had my suspicions. Take a look at this. Bill's wife took out the tablet. The content was as follows. William.
Thanks for today. It was fun.
Everyone responded to it. Samuel added.
But seriously, it feels great that we're all doing the same thing.
And everyone agreed. Mark continued.
Let's keep this going. By the way, how about a trip soon? Of course, with everyone. I have a spacious villa at my family's place.
Then Jeff responds.
Sounds good. Let's all go.
Bill also said.
It's a trip with 5 guys. It's great that I don't have a wife.
Everyone said.
I love it. Great.
And so on. From there, travel plans began to be made on that messaging app. Showing the tablet, Bill's wife, with a pale face, says, From the conversation, I had assumed they were going with just the guys. So, when they say everyone, does that mean each of them is bringing their affair partner, making it a total of 10 people on this trip? Then Mark's wife puts in a few words. Indeed, my husband's family is wealthy and they own a villa near the sea. This trip is undoubtedly happening. I could feel the anger boiling up inside me. A group infidelity trip with 10 people. What on earth are they thinking? I'm going to make them suffer, no doubt about it. At that moment, Karen suddenly started laughing. Has she finally reached her mental limit? To ease our concerns, Karen shares her thoughts. Why not? Let's gather solid evidence during this trip. We'll keep them in the dark until the trip, and then settle the score. After that, we created a group for the cheated wives on a messaging app and decided to exchange information while collecting evidence individually until the day of the trip. I acted as if everything was normal at home, so William seemed oblivious to anything. After a while, William informed me.
Hey, I'm going on a trip next break.
What? With who? Where?
Samuel and 3 of my juniors. One of my juniors has a vacation home.
Oh, really? Sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a guys-only trip. Isn't it great?
I smiled mischievously while observing my cheerful husband. And the day arrived. I took the wheel and the 5 of us traveled by rental car to our destination. There was a famous tourist spot near the villa, and Mark's wife suggested they might go there, so we headed in that direction. Mark, Jeff, and Bill's wives waited in the car while Karen and I disguised ourselves and explored the sights. Suddenly, we spotted a lively group ahead. It was them. Each of them walked happily, arm in arm with their respective partners. Karen and I captured plenty of photos and videos of them. Soon, they began taking pictures at famous tourist attractions. After each couple had their picture taken, the men took a picture of the men, and the women took a picture of the women. Of course, I also captured those scenes on video from afar. Then suddenly my cell phone rang. It was a message from William, along with a photo of only the guys saying, guys only trip is awesome. When I asked Karen, she mentioned Samuel had sent a similar photo. As soon as we posted this in the Cheetah Wives group, we received a prompt reply from Mark, Jeff, and Bill's wives. Got an obvious camouflage photo from Karen. Thinking this won't be discovered is pretty amusing, right? Seriously, they're all too foolish. Karen and I exchanged glances and couldn't help but laugh. From there, we waited for the night to fall and finally moved near the villa. In the villa's living room, the uproar of the 10 people began. Afterward, they moved to their respective rooms as couples. This was confirmed through footage from surveillance cameras at the villa obtained by Mark's wife. After about 30 minutes using the key Mark's wife had, we infiltrated the villa. Each of us dramatically opened the door to our respective husband's room. In front of my eyes were the seemingly happy couple. I immediately captured that scene in a photo.
Oh, what the? Amelia, why are you here?
The cheating partner, panicking, screamed and hid her body in front of my frantic husband. Similar shouts and screams can be heard from each room. I angrily yelled at William. Come to the living room immediately. Right now. Hurry. William, flustered at my words, led his cheating partner to the living room. In the living room, each husband and their affair partner were assembled, dressed only in underwear. We, the betrayed wives, tried to make them sit on the floor. However, Karen's husband, Samuel, vehemently refused. In the next moment, Karen swiftly delivered a punch to Samuel's abdomen. Ugh, he groaned, dropping to his knees. Well done, Karen. Being the ace of the karate club pays off. I said with a smile, and Karen responded, But Amelia, you're a black belt too, and laughed. In our university, we were both members of the karate club. They turned pale and stopped resisting when Karen and I cracked our knuckles. Seeing 10 people sitting on the floor in their underwear was quite an unusual sight. Now, shall we get them to confess? What were you all doing here? As Karen declared this, Samuel responded nervously.
This is a misunderstanding. It's all a mistake.
All the betrayed wives glared at Samuel, and in a mosquito-like voice he confessed.
We were cheating.
We then had each of them admit to the affair one by one, and we recorded them on video in turn. Some of the affair partners even burst into tears. Well then, shall we proceed, everyone? I said with a smile, and Karen and Mark's, Jeff's, and Bill's wives each took out divorce papers from their bags, presenting them in front of the husbands. From that point on, it was truly chaotic.
Please, spare us from divorce. Forgive us, this wasn't our intention.
Screams and cries resembling despair echoed in the room. Amidst this, William pleaded with me.
Amelia, are you serious about divorce? I don't want that.
Huh? Finding me annoying, aren't you? Regretting marrying an older wife? When I showed him the video I received from Karen, William froze.
Why even this?
I know everything. I've had enough of you. We are getting divorced. Be prepared to pay the $30,000 for the alimony compensation.
No way.
William looked at me with a tearful face. Then I looked at his affair partner. Nola, the receptionist, I'll be claiming from you as well.
I don't want that. I can't pay.
Then let's go to court. I'll make sure you pay. Looking around, after settling matters with each couple, I could see crying women and pale-faced husbands. Especially Mark and Jeff, whose wives were pregnant, had faces covered in bruises. We lined up each of our husbands and had them filled out divorce papers almost simultaneously. Karen made sure that each person puts the document in his or her bag, then tells them. Of course, I'll report this to the company as well. Then everyone pleaded,
Please don't do that.
in unison. You all may have forgotten, but I work in the Human Resources Department. In response to Karen's provocation, Mark, Bill, and Jeff's wives and I chimed in. We'll also sue the company with evidence. The threatening words made them all turn pale and tremble. Watching their reaction, I glared at them. Well then, everyone, let's go home. Prepare yourselves, you scum. We'll collectively drag you down to hell. Leaving those 10 people in their underwear behind, we departed from the villa. Later on, my divorce with William was finalized. I managed to win $30,000 in compensation from William and $25,000 from his affair partner. It seemed Karen and Samuel, as well as Mark, Jeff, and Bill's wives, also had their divorces finalized. True to our declaration, we filed a complaint with the husbands' companies. The news of a 10-person adultery group within the company caused a commotion. The higher-ups took this matter seriously and demoted all of them. Unable to withstand the gossip within the company, they eventually resigned. William depleted his savings, faced disapproval from both sets of parents, and now lives in a rundown apartment while desperately searching for a new job. Upon hearing this, I couldn't help but think, serves you right. As for the cheating husbands, they're probably experiencing their own version of hell right now. On the other hand, I used the compensation to move, starting a new life. I'm still in touch with Karen, Mark, Jeff, and Bill's wives, meeting for tea regularly. Mark's and Jeff's wives' babies were born safely. What happened back then has become a laughing matter among us. From now on, I would like to cherish what I have left and move on with my life cheerfully.